Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Was the Only Male with Quirk in a World Ruled by Women, MassiveHarem Part 2. Before we start, please go support ancalagonintheblack for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear. Deku is male in this story. Chapter 8. After Izuku's group has fought against a league of villains who had a thing called Nomu that Izuku fought against, so that the green-haired boy ended up in a chase for the heroines Kiga and Endavora, getting rid of them. At this moment Izuku was walking through his office. Well, his face showed more than a noticeable look of thinking about very important things. Apparently until he left his office to start walking until he reached the medical part. Izuku. Tell me, Pillar 2, what did you discover with the piece I gave you? Todoroki. First I want you to meet my assistant Ryu. The boy was present apart from the fact that Todoroki did not have his mask. Izuku. Is he trustworthy? Todoroki. More than you think, some heroines took him to beat him. I have everything recorded separately. Remember the children you saved a few days ago? Izuku. Yes, what do those children have to do with this boy? Todoroki. Well, they are Ryu's cousins. Hearing that, Izuku took off his mask, revealing his face and that green hair that the boy so wanted to see from the person who saved his cousins. Ryu. It's a pleasure to meet the Pillar 1 or leader, sir. Izuku, what do you want me to call you? Izuku. When we are alone, call me Izuku, but when we are with others, don't call me by my name directly. Ryu. Okay sir, it is an honor to know you. Apart from that, I am very grateful that you saved my cousins. By the way, I am Ryu, although I already heard it. Izuku. Well, that piece I gave you was from the Nomu, and as we heard before, it was a human man, so I want to know if there is a way I can return it to normal. Todoroki. I spent hours researching this piece with Ryu because it was very helpful, but I'm afraid there is no way to return it to normal. It became a monster, so we can only kill it. Izuku. This is very bad. What else did you discover? After all, you said that this boy helped you a lot. Todoroki. That's right, it helped me a lot. Go ahead Ryu, you can tell what you discovered. Ryu. Yes, I'm very nervous, but well, I discovered that the Nomu you faced was not fully developed. The thing called Nomu needs time to be in reserve when they make them. When they make them, they are capable of thinking, and they no longer act like animals like this Nomu here, who behaved like an animal because they only saw his body and thought that he was ready, although that is not the case. He still needed more time. Izuku only listened to everything while he looked at the boy, so he took a white mask that he threw to Ryu, who caught it. Ryu. What is this? Izuku. A mask alters your voice and different parts of your face is very useful, although it may not seem like it. From now on, when you are outside with others, you will not tell them your name, nor will you show anything that identifies you as Ryu. Ryu. But what are you talking about? Todoroki. In other words, from now on you are like a kind of participant or future pillar like us. That's why the mask is white instead of black, and you are the first to receive one of these masks. Ryu, upon hearing that, became very happy as he looked at his leader, who had a serious look. Izuku. Now see, Pillar 1, I want you to go outside and help with the medical part. Apparently you have good skills as a doctor. Ryu. Thank you very much, I promise not to let you down. The boy put on the mask as he left. Todoroki. It seems like you already have some trust in him. Izuku. That someone who is new and has achieved such a thing, apart from the fact that I saw his loyalty in his eyes, made me more than sure that he deserves that position. But the most important thing, didn't you tell him anything about the Quirk? Todoroki. I didn't tell him anything about the Quirk. Izuku. How come I help you? Flashback. Todoroki was with a Nomu skin in a part where there were few people until Ryu passed by the place. Noticing that, Todoroki was a little angry for not finding something, but he noticed something in those genetics. Ryu. Lord Pillar 2. Todoroki. Yes boy, what do you need? Ryu. It's not for nothing, but those parts that he is investigating have a frequency as if they have regeneration apart from a strength quirk. Todoroki. How do you know that? Ryu. Since I was little, I was learning about the medical part of quirks by seeing all kinds of them. Todoroki looked at him while he thought about some things. Todoroki. Boy, come with me, I want to try something. Ryu. Yes sir. Then flashback. Todoroki. And that way it helped me with the rest of the things to be able to find out about the genetics of the Nomu. Izuku. Very good decision Todoroki, you just chose the right person for the position. Out of nowhere I noticed how he received a call, so he answered. Izuku. If something happens. Momo. Hello Izuku, I wanted to know if you could help me with something at my house. Izuku. Okay, I'm going there. The boy hung up the call so he could notice a laugh that Todoroki was suppressing. Izuku. Don't even think about letting it go. Every time Todoroki couldn't hold back his laughter, he was close to letting it out in front of Izuku. Izuku. If it's not the good way, we'll do it the bad way. Izuku showed that gas grenade that he threw that day, making Todoroki remain completely silent, apart from a completely pale face. Well, that repressed laughter went away immediately, as if it had never been there, making Izuku smile, who left the place calmly so he could be well. He took his motorcycle and went directly to Momo's house, which was a mansion in a part of the city, being a little far away because of the tranquility it had apart from having a forest near the place. Izuku was driving until he stopped at the end. In front of the mansion, seeing that the bars opened for Izuku to enter until he was in front of Momo's door to knock on the door being opened by a larger dome. Butler? Can you offer anything, sir? Izuku? Yes, to start, I'm Izuku and I came because. Butler? Please follow me, Miss Momo was waiting for you. Izuku? What good service? The boy entered, seeing the large place to the patio where he found Momo with two other older black men and Momo's friends. Izuku? Hello, Momo. Man. Hello boy, I'm Momo's father and this is my wife, Momo's mother. Momo. It's a pleasure to meet the boy who saved some children without caring about their well-being. Izuku. I only did what he had to do, but well, what do you need, Momo? Momo. Izuku, well, you already know a training system or how to help people train, even if it's with a quirk. Izuku. Yes, I help some women with their quirk training, hand-to-hand fighting, and bladed weapon fighting. Momo. Well, the thing is that we girls don't know how to train and we would like your help. The girls who were there were Kendo, Ibara, Mei, Mina, Sayu, Izumi and Kasumi, which surprised Izuku a little. Izuku. Well, if you tell me about your quirks, I can help you. Momo. I would also like you to help me in sword fights. Izuku. I have no problems, they asked me before. Kasumi. You shouldn't have anything special. Izuku. Do you have wooden swords by any chance? Momo. Yes, katana. Izuku. Pass me some and we'll see if Kasumi still thinks that way. The butler only showed some wooden swords that Izuku too took, only to pass one to Kasumi, who caught him. Izuku. Come on, Kasumi, show me that you're done. Kasumi. You'll see. The girl went to make a cut at Izuku, but the boy dodged it as if it were nothing, each cut until he blocked one, as if it were nothing before the looks of the girls, who noticed how Kasumi moved her sword more as if it were nothing. Well, Izuku had a way of fighting. Izuku maintained a push of swords against Kasumi to make her turn, causing the girl to pass by so that she would receive a blow from Izuku's sword on the ass of the ash-haired girl who touched her ass due to the pain. Kasumi. What's wrong with you? Izuku. Come on, don't tell me you're going to get angry for a simple movement. Kasumi threw the sword to one side to go against Izuku with her explosions, trying to hit the green-haired man, who only dodged it as if it were nothing, although he moved away a little so that he began to dodge Kasumi's attacks while having a bored look. Kendo. It's great, Kasumi doesn't get to do anything to Izuku. Sayu. This shows that Izuku is someone very good even in fights. Momo. Without a doubt, my daughter has just chosen a good teacher and a good future husband at the same time. Momo. Mom, don't say that. The woman only made a small laugh while Izuku dodged Kasumi as if it were nothing, until at one point he stepped to the girl's side to pass his wooden sword across the floor, slightly lifting Kasumi, who fell to the floor. But when she turned around to go against Izuku, he already had what would be the edge of the sword on the girl's neck. Izuku. I win. Kasumi. Damn. Izuku. Well, I've already shown what I'm capable of, now you decide if you want me to train you. Ibara. Yes, that would be great. Mei. Besides, you will be very helpful in making my babies, I can't wait to start. Momo. Tell me boy, how do you know how to fight? Izuku. Since I was little, girls hit me a lot, so one day I decided to start training, and in this way I reached everything that you see today. Momo. I would like to see one small thing if it doesn't bother you, Izuku. Izuku. I have no problem, ask whatever you want. Momo. You can take off that shirt. Izuku had a black long-sleeved shirt. Izuku. It's okay, I don't have any problems. The boy began to take off his shirt, and as he took it off he revealed a body made by the gods, making the girls stare at Izuku with saliva in their mouths because of Izuku's body, although the scars he had did not help at all. The girls who were about to shoot Izuku's enzyme, when he finished taking off his shirt, he revealed the entire top part. Kasumi. If this is how the green bunny looks, I can't imagine the carrot. Izumi's mind. It's very good to have him in bed. Wait, Izumi is your brother, you don't have to be rude. Momo. It seems you really have been training a lot in your life. Izuku. This happened in my life with my training, I went through some things, although most of my scars come from women. Momo. Now comes the most important question. Are you still a virgin? Izuku. If I still am, why? Momo. It seems very strange to me that they haven't found you raped. Izuku laughed a little. Izuku. Alright girls, let's start training. The girls nodded to begin training with Izuku. The girls were in charge of telling him about their quirks, so Izuku had to make improvements to the girls who learned to fight hand to hand, with weapons being used with their quirks being Momo, the one who made the most progress in this part due to her creation quirk. The days passed and they had notable improvements in their quirks, apart from being able to learn how to retain the desire to grape Izuku, managing to succeed in such a thing, although the most cost was when one day they saw him in the bathroom, they had already finished training. Izuku. Okay girls, training is over. Momo. Hey Izuku, you're sweating from having helped them, but do you want to take a bath? We have no problem with you using our bathroom. Izuku. Thank you very much Momo's mom. The boy went to take a bath while the woman had a smile looking at the girls who noticed this, understanding the plan Momo's mother had for them, so they went to the bathroom door seeing that after a while Izuku was leaving the shower with a towel, but seeing his wet body caused them to almost end up raping him that same day. It was currently the last day of training. Izuku. Well, the training is over and they made great progress. Momo. It wouldn't have happened if you didn't help us. Izuku. I hope you win the sports festival. I wish you luck girls. The boy got on his motorcycle to leave the place under the gaze of the girls, who did not take their gaze away from Izuku, who ended up losing sight of him. The girls mentally promised themselves that next time they would have Izuku for themselves. Chapter 9. After Izuku has spoken with Todoroki about leaving Ryu as a future pillar, in addition to training the girls in Momo's house, without knowing that more than once he was about to be raped by the girls, so that at this moment at the base, everyone would be talking in one part, the room where no one would be able to hear them, seeing the table that had photos of the heroines with their respective quirks. Izuku. Well, first of all, to begin, I need to announce the first time and entry of Pillar Vis 1 Ryu. Everyone saw the boy who was sitting in one part who had the mask. Izuku. Ryu, you can take off your mask, they're going to take it off too. Ryu only did what was requested so that he could see the faces of the other pillars, being impressed by such a thing to see the pillars. Izuku. Well, this meeting was held for the heroines of now and those who are in the academies around the country, each one can be a future threat since we were present at the USJ. The men began to make more riots apart from looking for us more than before. Todoroki. And you need ideas for something very important with this topic. Izuku. In part, I need you to find ways to avoid the heroines all the time, although Lita you have to be with them, but another very important issue is that now recruiting more people is more difficult for us than before. Shoji. Why? It used to be so easy to recruit people. Izuku. Kaminari, do me favors. Kaminari. With pleasure, since what happened with the USJ. All the heroines have increased the security level so much that they have cameras everywhere, even in public forests, that it becomes more difficult for us to enter somewhere and recruit people. Izuku. We have to be more careful than before, remember you don't have to say anything to anyone about this unless it's time. The boys nodded their heads while Ryu was surprised by how they did things in that place. Izuku. Everyone can leave except Bakugo, Todoroki, Kaminari and Kirishima. Everyone nodded to leave the place although Ryu was left thinking that they were going to give him an order. Todoroki. Ryu, go to the laboratory and I want you to investigate the different phases that the Nomu goes through. The boy nodded to leave the place while they were left alone in the place. Kirishima. Now I figure you need us for something very important to get everyone out except us. Izuku. More than something very important, it is something very personal. They gave me invitations to go to the sports festival, and I want you to accompany me. They gave me seats very close to our families, and I don't want to end up killing someone in that place, so we will all go. Apart from that, we can take revenge. Apart from that, the sisters don't stop flirting with me or giving me hints to buck without saying that they don't stop bothering me for wanting to see them. Todoroki. It sounds good to me, let's see if they leave you alone that way. Izuku. Well, let's go. At the end of the meeting, the boys left to go to the sports festival, with Izuku being the one who had to drive. They talked for a while until they arrived at the sports festival where they had to get out of the car. Bakugo. It's going to be a very long day. Kaminari. We have to bear it out of pity. Kirishima. Otherwise we won't be men if we don't face this problem. Todoroki. We just have to hope that everything will work out and we will win. Izuku. Leave the dramatic scene and let's get this over with. Kaminari. We just wanted to add a touch of suspense. The boys entered the academy to begin walking around the place, being seen by the girls who, when doing this, being noticed by Izuku, had to quicken their pace, pushing their friends, getting rid of the groups of girls, until they reached a part where they were going to be fine. Izuku. Well, these are the places. Izumi. Hello, Izuku Nai, I thought you weren't going to come. Izuku. And we've already started with the bad. Hello, Izumi was obviously going to come. What kind of teacher isn't going to see his students competing after training them? Kasumi. And she's not the only one who approached. Todoroki. At least there isn't any more. Shota. Only the brothers and sisters. Kiri. Can you know where they were all this time? Haminari. In a part where we were quiet but we only came because Izuku invited us. Kazami. It seems that there are still few men. Kirishima. The only one who can say who a man is a man, not a woman. Kazami. And what does that matter to me? I say what I want and what I think, no one else changes my way of thinking. Izuku. They came to bother us so that we would leave or leave us alone, so we could enjoy the festival. Kasumi. You're right, enjoy the festival, but there is something you have to know. Haminari. Now what the hell do we need to know? Kirishima. Let him attack us. Hits. Electricity. Explosions. Todoroki. Or have your face burned. Izumi. Since our mothers left, they spent days looking for them and continue looking for them. They want to see them one more time and apologize for everything in the past. Bakugo. We are not going back, let them think better before ignoring the times their children were beaten. Izuku. Well, now that the matter is settled, you can go. We want to be at peace more than anyone else in this world right now. The girls only left the place, leaving the boys in peace to see how classes will start, in which Kasumi had to give the presentation to start the festival. Apart from Midnight was going to be the presenter, while Liza and another heroine they were going to be the women who were going to tell what was happening at the sports festival. Izuku. It shows that Kasumi hasn't changed at all in these years. Kirishima. And it was useless for us to come, so we could prevent our sisters from trying to give you those hints, so that you end up taking them. Haminari. Well, what are we going to do? We have to stay to see the progress of the girls that Izuku trained. Izuku. Just keep your mouths shut. They watched as the festival began with an obstacle course in which the boys were not very surprised by the part about the robots or the part about when there was the precipice, that the only way to cross was a rope or over some rocks. Everything was normal, although they had to accept that they were a little surprised by the part about the explosives on the floor. Kirishima. I have to add the explosives in the training room. Todoroki. No please, I already have several people injured every time when Shoji or Mirio start training with them. Bakugo. Hey Kirishima, today wasn't one of those days where the three of you had to fight the recruits. Kirishima thought a little about what his childhood friend had just said, while Todoroki was attentive to the answer. Kirishima. Yes, today was one of those days when we actually trained with the recruits. Some began to laugh, while Todoroki was worried about the boy they left in charge of the place, while at the base, Ryu was on the verge of death from having to control so many wounded people in the place, apart from where to send them according to what they had. Todoroki. I'm starting to feel sorry for the new guy. Izuku. Well, what's going to happen to him? After all, it was your Todoroki who brought him to me, so that he ends up being one of us, even if it's only half. Todoroki remembered that he did do that, so he was beginning to feel guilty inside of him. Haminari. Hey, you have to see this. Everyone looked at the screen to notice how Melissa had just used the explosives to be able to get ahead of the rest so that she could pass between Kasumi, Shota and Izumi so that the girl would end up in first place, being followed by the others, leaving the boys were surprised by how the blonde was able to pass without problems. Izuku. Without a doubt this was something very unexpected. Todoroki. Expect the unexpected, now that saying makes a little more sense. Everyone nodded for Midnight to appear so that she could begin to explain the next test that they had to do as a team in front of the eyes of the kids who couldn't believe that they seriously did this type of work for festivals but gave it little importance. Bakugo. I can't believe they seriously put this kind of stuff up. Kirishima. It seems that it will be for the teamwork that they may possibly do in the future. Izuku. Well, guys, calm down, I know that we will only see how they do this and there will be a third part left to finish this. Todoroki. I better use this. He showed a syringe that caught everyone's attention. Haminari. And what is that for? Or what are you doing? Todoroki. This will put us to sleep long enough to be able to let that clock go to zero and wake up in time and see the next part. If the next part is not worth it, we take another dose. Bakugo. Better start delivering so we can get this started. The boy made sure that everyone would fall asleep, although Izuku ended up falling asleep in his mind, looking everywhere that it was all dark, nothingness itself, although he could see that there were those 5 spheres being his powers apart from his sword in the center. Izuku. Now that I think about it, since I activated my quirk, after 2 hours I activated it and arrived at the base with the boys, that sword appeared in my room. The boy approached to take the sword with one hand, but in doing so he ended up dizzy, so that he let it go apart from feeling a great power coming from the sword, as if it were his power, so he had to let go apart from the fact that he made some burns on his hand, surprising Izuku for having been damaged by his own weapon. Izuku. And I can't take enzyme, but also these spheres that represent my powers seem as if they are repressed, as if I can't get all my power out in exchange for taking a test. The boy approached one of the spheres and began to feel as if he were being dragged by that power, since he was going directly to the sphere of electricity, being the closest. Izuku was looking for a place to hold on, but he couldn't find anything, which was quite bad for the boy who thought of a way to be able to avoid it. Izuku? Damn. Before he entered the sphere that he became bigger for him to enter, he ended up waking up so that he was very agitated while looking at his hands, which were hurt like in his dream, surprising Izuku that he couldn't believe. Izuku? It seems that it wasn't a dream after all, it seems that my power seems to want something. The boy looked at the festival on the platform, which was now more interesting, so he decided to wake up his companions so that they could see everywhere until they noticed that the time for that part of the festival had not yet ended. Haminari. Why did you wake us up, Izuku? Izuku? The festival just got more interesting. The boys looked, noticing that the boy was right that the festival became more interesting than before, but one of them noticed something in Izuku's hands. Todoroki. Izuku, what happened to your hands? Izuku? I don't know very well, it happened when I fell asleep because of that thing. Bakugo. What the hell happened in your mind now? Izuku. My mind was all dark, but there were 5 spheres of fire, water, electricity, earth and air, although in the center was my sword. Kirishima. Those powers, what happened? Izuku. When I tried to take my sword I ended up hurting myself. I moved away, it showed me a great power that was inside me, but I had to let it go. When I got close to the sphere of electricity I ended up being dragged, and I almost entered it. It was as if I had that doing a test class to use more of my current power, as if I had more hidden power, but I didn't even realize this. Todoroki. So after the festival we have to see what's going on in your mind. Haminari. Bringing up that topic, look, the festival became more interesting. They watched as Izumi's group and Shota's group were alone, making one go against the other, exciting everyone. Chapter 10. After the boys talked about the heroines to go to the sports festival ending in a meeting between brothers, not very good, but other than that the first part of the festival had already ended and the second part was beginning to reach its end. Currently everyone was watching as the Izumi's group was going against Shota's, but before anything else happened, Kasumi, using her explosions, went against them, causing the excitement to increase in the place so that they could see the grand finale that was about to come. Kirishima. I say that Kasumi arrives first before anyone else. Todoroki. I say that Shota arrives first for the clash. Bakugo. For me Izumi will be the first to reach the grand finale. Izuku. I say none of them. And just as Izuku said, the alarm sounded that time was up, while Midnight said that time was up for everyone to stop, avoiding the huge crash that was about to come as the grand finale that everyone was waiting for. Izuku. I told you, now start paying me. The boys took out money that they began to give to Izuku, who had a chivy smile on his face so that he could see those who were going to be in the next part of the festival so that everyone could take a break for the moment. So the boys they followed Izuku, who went to where the girls were. Izuku. Hello girls. Pendo. At least you came. Izuku. And some of you moved on to the next part of the sports festival. Tisa. If I ever face this rock, I will destroy it. Tizami. Not if I crush you first. The two were fighting until they noticed the boys coming after Izuku. Mei. And who are they? Izuku. These are my friends Kaminari, Kirishima, Bakugo and Todoroki, the brothers of some of their class. They immediately looked at the 4 girls who looked like them. Izuku. Before we start something more than another, it's better to go eat something because there isn't much time. Momo. Come on. The group left to start going to a nearby restaurant where they went to start eating quietly, talking about trivial topics. Tizami. And what do you do at the moment to be able to live? Todoroki. Nothing special, we just opened a gym, we did it ourselves, but we made good progress. Haminari. We had quite a few big clients to be true. Tisa. And each of you has some important thing that you do in the gym I imagine. Todoroki. I'm in charge of the medical part in case someone gets hurt since we have a part to be able to fight. Kirishima. They left me in the part where I am a trainer for the fights. Haminari. With me I have to be in charge of getting information to find out about other competing gyms or recommending people to go to ours. Bakugo. They left me the part of having to take care of buying things like weights, gloves, and among other things. Izuku. They left me as the gym leader, when they do something they first consult with me. Kiri. You are still the leader of the Izuku group, no matter how much time passes it will always be the same between you. Izuku. What can I say? Things don't change no matter the time, we always keep our plans among other things. Kasumi. Maybe there were 9 of you instead of just 5, or maybe you lost some along the way. Izuku. The others are in the gym fixing something more than anything else. Well, we came to see our sisters, if you can call it that way, after spending a long time beating us and enough abuse to call the former sisters. Out of nowhere we began to hear how the third part of the sports festival was going to begin shortly, apart from the fact that the girls who had to participate have to go. Momo. Well, see you, we have to go fight among ourselves. In this way, Class 1 left the place while the boys were only there for a while longer. Kirishima. Now what can we do? Izuku. Look boy, we have to do some very important things after this festival, so I want everyone to be in the base field, but not the normal one, but the one that is secret only Kirishima, Todoroki and Bakugo. There is something I have to tell you, show to you. Kirishima. It must be very important to go to that part of the base. Izuku. And it is, but let's go before the girls kill me for not seeing their fights. Everyone paid attention to go to see the fights which were like the original story, the fights, but since there were some characters who were not there, the fights were not as similar since in the second round of the fights, Izumi, Shota, Ibara, Mei, Momo, Kasumi, Kazami, for the third round, Shota, Ibara, Momo and Kasumi passed. In the finals it was Shota against Kasumi who gave a great fight, so that Kasumi ended up being the winner of the sports festival, leaving the crowd more than satisfied. People to see the result of the fight. Izuku. Okay guys, go to where I told you that I have to do some things before all this. The boys nodded for them to leave, while Izuku turned around seeing some of the girls who went straight to Izuku. Momo. Thank you very much Izuku. Izuku. Because they're grateful if I didn't do anything. Kasumi. You practically trained us, and thanks to that we were able to reach this part of the sports festival. Izuku. The truth was not a big deal. He was silenced when he felt Momo's lips crashing against his, so that the boy reciprocated the kiss, but when they separated the other girls who were trained by Izuku except Izumi went towards Izuku doing the same with the raven until they separated, leaving each one a thread of saliva that still united them, but Izuku realized some things. Izuku. I have to go. Momo. What we did was wrong. Izuku. It's not that, it's just that I need a little time to think about some things that I remember. Pendo. But if what we did was wrong, just tell us. Izuku. What they did was not bad, you verified it yourself when you saw that I reciprocated the kiss, but there is one very important thing that I have to do, see you another day. The boy left the place leaving the girls thinking since Izuku didn't look very good, the green-haired man went to the base to go directly to the secret training ground where he found Kirishima, Todoroki and Bakugo. Todoroki. Okay, what do you have to show us, Izuku? The boy gave them some bracelets. Izuku. Put it on. Bakugo. Why? Izuku. Just do it, they're very good. The boys listened to put them on. Izuku. Those are your own, they only respond to your command, they serve multiple uses since you can call, receive messages, do various things from there, and some armor is included. The boys touched on a part where an armor began to form on them, Kirishima's being completely black, apart from the fact that it was noticeable that it was very hard, he had a kind of rectangle on his chest with a rectangle-shaped shine while on his shoulders. Shoulders to the rest of the arms was yellow, along with a kind of machinery from his shoulders, which served to increase the blow given by the armor. Todoroki's was more similar to Izuku's only that on the chest, stomach and most parts of the arms, it had a golden color and a circle on the chest that showed a light blue glow. Bakugo's was completely black, unlike some parts of the arms and face that were golden in color, being similar to Todoroki's in almost everything, but one of the big differences was that it allowed him to see more circles with a red glow. Instead of light blue for different parts of his body. Kirishima. These are our armors. Izuku. Yes, although they have a difference with mine, and that is that those are prototypes to see if they like it and finish with the originals once and for all. Todoroki. I imagine they are very different from yours. Izuku. And that's how Kirishima's is, it works for close combat since it has enormous brute strength, although they found out because of its arms, apart from being very tougher than a tank or some of their other armor, it is the most resistant armor they have. There is so far, Todoroki's can withstand temperatures such as cold and heat, but obviously it has a limit of endurance at a certain level of temperatures, that is the good and bad thing apart from that it can absorb fire or cold and command what is done energy in case they launch an attack like that at you. Bakugo. Mine has to be the strongest since it has a different color than the others. Izuku. In fact, that armor is made with the same specialty as Todoroki's, only the difference works with explosions, anything that can cause an explosion you can absorb without problems, although what it has as a weakness is that it has a certain limit of absorption each armor although Kirishima's is resistance, but well, you understand me now. Kirishima. This is great bro. Izuku. If it is, the armor has the same nanotechnology as mine, so if they lose any part it can be rebuilt, among other things, you know. Jarvis. Hello Mr. Bakugo, Mr. Kirishima, Mr. Bakugo. Todoroki. What is this? Izuku. That's Jarvis, a mechanical intelligence that is in the armor and the base. Bakugo. Wait, this thing was at the base a long time ago and we didn't find out. Izuku. That's right, when I got the armor I put Jarvis in our organization's database so that he can handle everything if I, Bakugo or Todoroki aren't there and everything is chaos. Todoroki. You never stop surprising us Izuku. Izuku. Well now you have the armor. He touches a bracelet he had causing an armor to appear on Izuku being the armor he used in the battle against the Nomu. Izuku. Let's see how well they use it. The boy began to fly so that the other three could begin to fly, but with difficulty, being helped by Jarvis, they were flying between the mountains, passing between them. Izuku. Well, let's see how they do it through a cave. The boy went into a cave, being followed by the others who kept pace with him to get into the cave, although they were careful not to end up colliding with something in the cave and ending badly, but those attempts were useless, as they ended up colliding with many things. Things from the cave being with one more than another stone from the place causing them to end up on the floor, Bakugo being the first who ended up crawling through the cave. A few moments later, Todoroki did not take long to keep up with him to end up colliding with a rock from the cave. They've going through the same thing as they were crawling while Kirishima collided with the stones even before Bakugo, but he ended up breaking them as if it were nothing before him. Through a part of the mountain where there was the entrance to a cave, Izuku came out without problems, so that I saw how Kirishima came out of the entrance, but unlike before, this time he ended up crawling on the floor, being seen by Izuku, who looked at the entrance of the semi-destroyed cave so that Bakugo and Todoroki could come out with difficulty. Izuku. Without a doubt we will have to train a lot in this, if you are the ones who get used to it the fastest, I can't imagine the others. The boy only watched as his friends tried to fly again little by little, until they reached Izuku's height. Izuku. Well, since you are at this point with me now, we go back to where we came from, since apparently this is very new for you. The boys only followed Izuku to return without taking the cave, while elsewhere were the four largest heroines, along with Nisa, the director, and a girl in front of them. Nisa. And do you have what we asked for? Girl. Yes, it wasn't very easy to get in, but I was able to evade their security, and now I know almost everything that happens inside. And Devora. Like almost everything. Girl. It's just that walking around the entire base is not very easy to say, since I have to be a higher command to be able to walk everywhere, and until now I can't even be a Vis pillar to be able to talk to the other pillars. Nisa. It doesn't matter, we have enough things to start with, one more detail than another. You did well. The women laughed, as did the girl, while they had photos of the base. Chapter 11. After the boys watched the end of the sports festival, they also tried out the armor that Izuku gave them to the boys, who had to start training with the armor with Izuku's help, and they learned very quickly how to handle it. The explosions that Bakugo was able to absorb, or Todoroki, who went to places where there were low temperatures and others with high temperatures like volcanoes, while Kirishima had to receive blows to get used to them. At this moment the four of them were in a room calmly watching about a topic. Izuku. Well, from what I found out, the girls from UA are going to do an internship class. Well, my other contact told me that the League of Villains plans to attack the city soon with Nomus, who are weaker than the one I faced in the USJ. Todoroki. You plan for us to go fight with the armor and save part of the city. Izuku. I don't want them to save part of the city, but I want us to save the entire city, not a single broken part or injured person. The boys nodded until an alarm sounded and they saw heroines approaching a part. Izuku. Let's start with the facade. The boys left the place to take some of their friends to enter a building. Izuku. Remember your positions. At that moment some heroines entered through the door and went directly to where Izuku was, since he was the manager. Izuku. Something is offered to you, Midnight, Lady and Ibarra. Ibarra. Hello Izuku. Midnight. We only came because there are alleged complaints that this gym is not legalized. Izuku. I will gladly show you the papers so that you can verify for yourself that what I tell you is true. Midnight. Okay. The boy approached a box where he took out some papers that he showed to the heroines, who saw the papers themselves. The heroines looked, noticing that everything was fine. Midnight. Apparently everything is fine, so we leave you alone with my permission. Lady. Like, with your permission. Did you forget that I am also a heroine? The two began to fight, but before they did anything Izuku got into the topic a little. Izuku. Please ladies, don't fight, it's not good when two beauties decide to fight to abandon what makes them beautiful. The two women blushed because of how Izuku spoke to them, being noticed by Ibarra, but before anything else happened, they noticed that someone was entering, and it was Mirko. Mirko. Hello Izuku. Izuku. Hello Mirko, are you going to use the same machines as always? Mirko. Yes, I'm going to use them. Midnight. Wait Mirko, what are you doing here? Mirko. This gym is very good, so I came to train. Lady. This further proves that it is legal. Izuku. If one day you want to come and train or need something, I am here for the services of beautiful women. The two heroines blushed and Ibarra only became more jealous. Izuku. And obviously I'm up for a future heroine like Ibarra voice with that beauty. The girl blushed so that the three could leave before the look of Izuku, who only had a smile. When night came Izuku met up with the boys. Izuku. Are you ready to start the fun? The three put on their armor, making it clear that they are more than ready. Izuku. Then let's go. The four of them flew away to go directly to the city. When they arrived they only landed on a building. Izuku. Well, the attack of those Nomus is supposed to come right now, remember, they are not as strong as that of the USJ, so they don't have to prove everything unless necessary. Todoroki. I already sent the data to Jarvis so that he can analyze the Nomu, in case one appears, we will know immediately. They were looking everywhere until they noticed there were 2 signs. Hiroshima. 2 signs to the left. Izuku. Come on and remember, there must be no injuries. The boys nodded to start flying. Well, in one part of the city there was a couple walking calmly until a Nomu got in front of them. The people were about to run, but they noticed that they were not going to be able to run in time, but before the Nomu Kirishima hit him, sending him flying. Kirishima. Run. The couple thanked each other to leave the place, while Kirishima looked at the Nomu who came out of the rubble. Izuku. Well, now we have to see how we do it because Endeavor and Shota come from one side while Grant Arena from the other. Todoroki. I'll take care of Endeavor and Shota. Izuku. Just try to talk to her, but if things escalate, hold on, I'll go for Grant Arena and Bakugo go for the other Nomu that's flying. Bakugo. Okay. Hiroshima. And what do I do? Izuku. Crush that Nomu, remember they are no longer human. The boys nodded so that each one could go to their place. Izuku. Hello Great Tarina. G Tarina. Apparently you are the leader of UBT. Izuku. Yes, I ask you to leave, we have things under control. G Tarina. And how do you want me to believe that? Izuku. I don't need to explain, just believe me that I have everything arranged. Grant Arena watched from the side as a Nomu went against Kirishima, who responded with a blow to his head, causing him to remain on the floor. G Tarina. I think I'm not going to leave them alone. Izuku. Then I'm forced to fight. Grant Arena jumped against a wall to go against Izuku who noticed this, so he dodged her to see how she did the same having the same result, so that it happened again, only that little by little the woman began to get faster before Izuku's gaze. It was becoming more difficult for him to evade Grant Arena until the woman managed to hit him, sending him crashing to the floor, making him crawl, but he got up as quickly as possible to avoid another attack. G Tarina. A long time ago you could have attacked me, but why didn't you? Izuku. Because I am not the enemy but other people. The boy noticed something looking away. Izuku. Tell me, how interested are you in the heroine killer? G Tarina. Why the question? Izuku. Apparently he's not far away with a certain Izumi Midoriya. Hearing that she went at full speed while she and Todoroki stood in front of the two. Todoroki. I ask you not to get involved, we have everything under control. Endeavor. Yes and I believe it, let us pass or we will go through the worst part. Todoroki. This conversation lasted less than I thought. The two heroines went against Todoroki throwing fire that Todoroki only avoided to see the two being Endeavor who went directly against him flying, so he had to avoid it to fly even more dodging each attack, while Shota watched until he felt his phone. It sounded so he saw that someone was asking for support, so he left the place, while Todoroki was starting to get tired of this game of chasing. Todoroki. I'm tired of this. The boy stopped so that Endeavor could get in front of him, throwing fire at him, making him think that she had already won, but when the fire went away, she was surprised to see how Todoroki was unharmed. Todoroki. I think it's time to switch roles. Endeavor. How is this possible? Todoroki. My armor has the ability to absorb fire or ice attacks to change it into energy and increase the power of my armor, leaving me the opportunity to do things like this. The boy extended his arms throwing ice at the heroine, causing her to cover herself ending up with her legs and right arm frozen, but he broke it using his fire. Endeavor. You're going to need more than that. Todoroki. Then let's begin. The boy began to fly against Endeavor, reaching in front of her to try to kick him, which the heroine dodged to look at, so that she could give him a blow that hit Todoroki, who moved away to throw ice that Endeavor received, freezing part of his body. That Todoroki took advantage of to go against her and kick her sending her against the floor, followed by going to give her a blow that Endeavor dodged to get into a battle pose looking at Todoroki. Endeavor. I will destroy you. Todoroki. It looks like we're going to last a while. With Kirishima, the boy was with the Nomu having a hand-to-hand fight, blocking a blow from the Nomu so that the boy would hit him in the face, causing his head to sink into the floor so that he would grab his legs, throwing him against a building that was abandoned so he took the opportunity to enter, but when he entered he did not find the Nomu lying on the floor, so he began to walk carefully until the Nomu dropped an enzyme causing it to break a wall, but Kirishima managed to get it out in time to have the Nomu face to face staring at you. Kirishima. If you like to play dirty then we will play dirty. The Nomu lunged at Kirishima who responded with an attack to the stomach, moving him away from his shoulders so that he fired some missiles, hitting him completely against the wall when the Nomu tried to get out and ended up receiving a blow from Kirishima in the ribs. causing the Nomu to break his ribs followed by another blow, breaking his ribs even more, making the Nomu scream, who screamed in pain, but was knocked down by a blow from Kirishima to the chest, so that the boy ended up taking him, leaving the building flying, going to the top of the building. Kirishima. If you can heal quickly then let's see how fast. The boy let the Nomu fall so that Kirishima could begin to go down, so that he could start firing some missiles at the Nomu, hitting him squarely, causing that when he collided with the roof of the abandoned building he ended up breaking it, but he did not stop from continuing attacking. But when he stopped launching the missiles increased their speed to go down even faster, starting to hit the Nomu, breaking each part until they reached the end, making a crater inside the building and leaving the Nomu unconscious. Kirishima. Let's finish this. The boy with the chest beam hit the Nomu, leaving no trace of the body completely. Kirishima. I'm done with the Nomu. But Bakugo he was following the Nomu who, upon noticing that Bakugo was following him, tried to attack him, but the ash-haired man dodged him to kick him, sending him to the ground. The Nomu went again against Bakugo, who only watched while he dodged the Nomu's attacks too at one point, taking his leg to go to the floor to use his body to hit him, followed by doing a few laps, throwing him against a building. The Nomu took flight to get away from Bakugo, but the boy was not going to let him go, so he was against the Nomu to take out a kind of long-edged knife that was on the arm of the armor to make a cut in one of the wings, causing it to begin to fall, so that Bakugo could look at it, launching some small missiles that he had in his arms, giving effect. Filled in the Nomu causing him to end up on the floor. When the Nomu got up trying to recover, he ended up receiving a blow from Bakugo that sent him to a gas station. Bakugo. Now I'll finish you. The Nomu, without knowing it, ended up making a cut in a part of the gas station, causing it to explode. Bakugo, noticing that he had people behind him, got into a pose to absorb the huge explosion, saving the people so that he could see the Nomu, so he went against the Nomu taking it to start flying to the sky. Bakugo. Let's see how you do in space. The boy damaged the Nomu's wings to launch his enzyme, and with a beam from his chest hit it squarely, sending it to disappear from the face of the earth. Bakugo. The Nomu no longer exists. Izuku. Well, if they're done, let's return to the base as soon as possible. More heroines are approaching, and soon we will be overwhelmed by a huge number, and their suits are not ready for a fight of that level. Todoroki. Well, Endeavora, I think the end of our fight will have to be another day, but if you allow me, I'll leave. The boy left, but before Endeavora went for him, he noticed that his legs were frozen, and when the ice was removed, he lost all trace of Todoroki, while the rest just left the place directly to the base, without knowing that they were recorded. Chapter 12. After the boys tested their armor before society by fighting against the Nomus, apart from the fact that some heroines with a Bara went to Izuku's gym, seeing that everything was legalized, at this moment the four boys arrived at the base to take out their armor. Although Bakugo and Kirishima were very excited to use the armor in a fight, so they went to the kitchen part seeing that on the news, they were already talking about them apart from their fights, causing the men of the know to be celebrating, while Mineta was cooking with everything that could. Izuku. Yes, this is a big change in society. Kirishima. Little by little we will have what we want and men will have more power in society. Izuku. Yes, but in the meantime we have to take care of other things like watching the next movements of the League of Villains, although now I have to show some things to Lita that we have to see tomorrow. The next day the four met. Izuku. Lita has arrived and she is at the training ground so we have to go. Bakugo. Then the boy has arrived. Izuku. We're just going to the training ground. The boys followed him to the training field, seeing Lita who was waiting for them and obviously did not wait for him to start making his movements like a robot, judging them for having arrived a few minutes late. Lita. Now why did they call me? Izuku. I understand that you saw the fight we had last night on the news. Lita. Yes, I understand it and I saw the changes that happened because of what they did among the men. Izuku. So in that case I have to give you a little detail. The boy handed her a blue bracelet that Lita put on. Lita. Why the bracelet? Izuku. Guys, show him who makes the bracelets. The boys followed suit to start wearing their armor, surprising Lita who only touched the bracelet so they could put on armor all over their body, which had a silver color all over it with blue lines, apart from the fact that the chest had a white glow on it. Triangle shape. Izuku. It seems like you ended up liking the armor. Lita. And this armor has something special aside from flying, launching missiles or energy beams like yours. Izuku. As you can imagine, that armor has the ability to restore any part damaged by nanotechnology, but the most important part is that, unlike Kirishima's armor, which can withstand attacks, Bakugo's can withstand explosions, or Todoroki's, which can withstand explosions. It withstands low and high temperatures. Yours has the ability to be faster than any of the others, it has the highest speed compared to any other armor, but like theirs 3, it is only a prototype. Lita. I love this armor. Izuku. Don't say it without having tried it first. The boys are going to be in charge of helping you train with the armor, and they have to do the same as I did with you." The boys nodded for Izuku to leave the place. Todoroki. "Wait, what are you going to do?" Izuku. "I have to see some things about my power and clear up my doubts about enzyme." The boys understood while Izuku only began to train on the island where he was always alone. This time he began to meditate, entering his mind, seeing the 5 spheres and the sword that was in the middle, as if it were nailed to something in nothingness itself. The boy was looking at the spheres, so he approached the earth sphere which began to do the same as the electricity sphere. Only this time he did not put up any resistance and entered the sphere. Izuku. "Now where am I?" He said it while looking around, since everywhere was a search, so he had to start walking, looking everywhere, not finding anything strange, but without him knowing it, he was walking to the mountain in the forest. When he was in front of the mountain, it began to move as it rose. Izuku. "What the hell?" The boy watched as that enormous mountain became a living being. Izuku. "What is that?" The being looked at Izuku to lower his head. "Sir. Don't you know what I am?" Izuku. "No, it's the first time I've seen a mountain move." Being. "I am Methuselah, the center of your power with the earth." Izuku. "Excuse me, but can you explain a little more?" Methuselah. "Apparently it is your first time seeing one of us. You will see, unlike other quirks, that you only have to train it so that it is ready. Yours is different because to use all your power, all the power of each element, you have to defeat us in a fight." Izuku. "So if I fight you and defeat you, I can use all my earth power?" Methuselah. "Yes, and you surely have a question about your sword, and the answer is that that sword helps you have greater capacity with your quirk, and in order to use it, you have to lift the sword that is on your head." Izuku. "How do I pick it up if I can't even touch it?" Methuselah. "Easy, you have to use all your power to defeat all of us." Izuku. "If that's the case then, I'm ready to fight." Methuselah. "Then I won't make you wait any longer and let the fight begin." Izuku only watched as the huge being prepared to attack by launching an attack with its front leg, so it tried to fly using the air, but to its surprise, it couldn't use the wind, so it ended up receiving the blow that sent it flying, causing it to fly. "I ended up crashing into some trees." Izuku. "What happened? Why can't I use my quirk?" Methuselah. "First rule, when you are in one of our worlds you can only use the element in the world you are in this case only the earth." Upon hearing that, Izuku got up to start making stone pillars that went against the titan, which broke it as if it were nothing, so he tried to lift it, but he couldn't do anything because when he tried to lift it, it only ended up breaking the ground, and he couldn't do anything. Methuselah went against Izuku, and when he was close the boy made a huge wall of earth, but Methuselah broke the wall, as if it were nothing to hit Izuku, sending him flying, causing him to break more trees, so he got up to see Methuselah approaching. Methuselah. "Out of pity for you, I am the oldest of the 5 and the heaviest." Izuku. "Then lifting it is not an option." Methuselah went against Izuku, who made a pillar, making the boy start to go up, avoiding an attack from Methuselah, and then fell on his back with a jump, who upon noticing this began to move in order to get the enzyme out of Izuku, who given this, he made huge stone pillars attack Methuselah from the side, who only received the attack squarely, but when the dust disappeared, the being did not have a single scratch, so that with one movement, Izuku was taken out of enzyme, who, in response to this, used the earth to get away from Methuselah, who looked at him. Izuku walked away to a point where he put his hands on the ground, causing 5 huge stone people to begin to appear, which went against Methuselah, who at this only looked at them to receive blows from the beings that Izuku made, which at one point began to push him, but the being of enormous proportions was not going to be left so easily, so he stood up on 2 legs to fall enzyme from 2, taking them with his front legs, destroying them as if not they were nothing to see the remaining 2 who got on him, trying to do some damage to his back, but it didn't work. Methuselah. "It's useless." Methuselah threw himself back against the floor, crushing the remaining 2, destroying them as if nothing had happened, but when he wanted to get back on his feet, it was difficult for him, so the 5th stone man jumped to Methuselah's stomach to hit him. Hits. Methuselah. "That's very annoying." At once he was able to return to normal, destroying it as if nothing had happened, to look for Izuku, who was hiding. Methuselah. "Where are you?" The being passed Izuku's enzyme without realizing it, but when Izuku looked up at his stomach, he noticed that there was an injured part. Izuku. "So he does have a weakness." The boy noticed that his tail was getting closer, so he jumped to the tail to start running Methuselah's enzyme, who didn't realize it, while Izuku was thinking of a way to make it end up coming back until something came to his head, so with one jump, he reached ahead to harden his fist and hit him on the head so that he would notice the green-haired man's presence. Methuselah. "So there you were." The being of a movement took Izuku out of enzyme so that the boy began to run, being followed by Methuselah, who continued watching him as Izuku ran to end up entering a kind of crack that split a mountain in half so that he could do the same. But halfway there he stopped because he ended up getting stuck. Izuku. "This is your last chance to surrender." Methuselah. "I will never give up." Izuku. Then it will be the hard way. The boy touched the floor, causing stone pillars to begin to hit Methuselah's stomach, causing him to begin to roar in pain at Izuku's attack, which was going to his weak point, so he began to exert force to get out of that crack, beginning to achieve it, but Izuku was not going to make it so easy for him, so he tried to make stones put in front of him, but it did not work until he managed to pass, making Izuku fly, causing him to fall to the ground, but before he got up, he noticed how Methuselah was going to crush it with its huge paw, so it only extended its arms, trying to make stone pillars prevent it from crushing it so that it would see that it was of little use, so it received that attack, making it only hold the huge paw. Methuselah. Now the question of whether you give up, I think it would be more for you, do you give up? Izuku. Don't think this will stop me, I will win at all costs, I won't let you beat me. Methuselah. As you wish. Methuselah put pressure, causing the floor to break due to the force he was beginning to exert, while Izuku only did his best to not end up crushed and die before Methuselah, causing him to start thinking faster about how to get out of there, until he remembered every time he got together with his friends, when they were little. When they made the organization the promise they made, so he opened his eyes. Izuku. I made a promise to my friends and I will not die until I fulfill it. The boy began to exert force and to Methuselah's surprise, his paw began to be raised so that Izuku could come out, who looked at the enormous being with a look more than determined to win the fight, so he put his hands on the floor, making huge columns of stone that were the size of Methuselah ended up surprising the being, so that Izuku jumped against the titan, who looked at Izuku, noticing that his fist for a moment changed to a silver color so that he could hit Methuselah's head. Methuselah making a huge shock wave, making the entire place rumble, while some pieces of earth rose and other parts cracked, so that it ended with a Methuselah falling to the ground just like Izuku. Methuselah. Well boy, I accept it, you win, pass my test so you will have some of my abilities, but you can use them when you defeat the others. Izuku. What are they? Methuselah. You will have impressive strength, you will be able to resist like no one else in this world, and more than you imagine. Izuku. Then I'd better go. Izuku left to see that he was still on the island, so he got up looking everywhere. Izuku. Well, let's try it, if not it was a dream. The boy made a small earth attack, but by doing so he ended it by causing an earthquake to occur. Izuku. So I was right, my power of the earth increased in enormous ways. Well, if I have this now I have to go to prepare myself, because tomorrow I have another one. The boy left the place to prepare for tomorrow. Chapter 13. After the boys showed the armor to Lita so she could start practicing while Izuku went to train, now knowing how to use all his power 100% facing Methuselah, apart from knowing that he had to face the other titans, that they were in his other powers, such as knowing how to use his sword. At this moment Izuku was at the base with his companions who were training with the armor, although now Kaminari was with them. Kaminari. Did you call me for something, Izuku? Izuku. Yes, as you see, the boys have their own armors, each one has a specialty. He said it as the four of them landed in front of him, leaving Kaminari wanting to have armor because of how his other friends looked in those armors, while Izuku gave him a bracelet that he took to put on. Izuku. That bracelet has your armor, at the moment we are the only ones who have at least one armor. Kaminari put on the bracelet looking for a way to put it on, but to no avail. Izuku. It looks like you're going to need help sometimes to activate your armor. The boy touched a button causing Kaminari's armor to appear all over his body, but unlike the other armor, this one was similar to Todoroki's, only it had the entire body in a golden color. Kaminari. This is great. Izuku. Well, your armor has nanotechnology, so if you lose a part of the armor or something happens you will recover it, and like the others that have special functions, yours is the only one that can absorb electricity, so you can withstand great electric shocks, although the bad thing is that it is a prototype, so you have to avoid absorbing large shocks. Kaminari. Okay, but then the others will have armor. Izuku. Yes, but their armor will take time to make, so for the moment we will be the only ones who have armor, and I hope that doesn't affect them at all. Ejiro, Shoji, Mineta and Mirio. The four were present. Ejiro. Come on, we just wanted to see what was happening a little. Izuku. Yes, but they only had to ask to come and see what happened. Mirio. And ours are going to take a while. Izuku. Yes, they are going to take a while since there is only one person who made them, and it is not so easy to make one of these, especially since it is a prototype. Shoji. Then we will wait what we have to wait, but how is your training going? Izuku. It turns out that I have to defeat a class of beasts inside me to use all my power. If I beat them in a fight I will be able to use all my power, but it won't be easy at all. Ejiro. Are they going to need us for something? Izuku. If I threw things like explosives, ice, fire, rocks and electricity at them. The boy smiled for Izuku to leave. Kaminari. Don't go too far, I'm just new to this. Seeing that they shot him with electric bullets, the boy absorbed electricity, and even more so when he saw that they threw electric grenades at him, while Bakugo only began to test with the explosions, and Todoroki went to places with low temperatures. Kirishima began to test the armor by breaking rocks, while Lita just tested the speed of her armor to get used to it. Ajiro. This is fun. Elsewhere, Izuku took the boat to go back to the island, where he saw his sword stuck in the ground, so he sat in front of it in a lotus pose to enter his mind, but when he entered he was in a place full of rocks, while the sword could now be seen to be nailed to a stone, while 4 spheres surrounded it. Izuku. So if I make one I can make my mental space find more things. Izuku walked between the spheres thinking about which one to put until he opted for the water one, so that he could touch it. Entering the world, he ended up on a kind of small stone which was surrounded by water, being like the sea, so that Izuku could look everywhere. Seeing nothing but water. Izuku. Where is the guardian of this world? At one point, a kind of giant snake ended up emerging from the water with the jaw of a crocodile, dark blue skin, and light blue eyes. Monster. I am Moru, the guardian of this sphere. Izuku. You don't need to talk, I imagine you are the one who protects the sphere, and I have to face you if I want to have your power. Moru. I know that you discovered Methusela's weakness, and that's how you beat him, but no matter how hard you look for my weakness, you won't find it. Izuku. Then a clue would be good to get an idea of what your weakness is. Moru. Sometimes to damage water you have to be relaxed like water to cause damage, and when you attack you have to be like a wave, or sometimes you have to be cold. Izuku. If you realize that that doesn't help much. Moru. You're right, now I want to see how you fight. Izuku. Whatever you want, I don't want to hear that you regret it later. The boy jumped against Moru, who at this only charged at Izuku to hit him with his head, but the boy dodged to look into his eyes, which for some reason made him stay still, so that the huge man's tail the monster hit him, sending him flying against the water, causing him to end up submerging, but the boy from one moment to the next, began to use his water quirks to begin swimming at great speed, although he did not count on Moru to follow him, so that a chase through the water began, and Izuku had to go faster and faster to avoid being eaten by Moru, who tried to eat him until at one point where Izuku entered a cave that was for someone his size, preventing Moru from still following him. Further. Izuku. He's better than I thought, he's faster than me despite his huge body. The boy continued swimming to a part where he had to leave the cave, not finding Moru until a moment in which his senses warned him of something below him, so he looked down, noticing Moru who went against him, so he dodged it, barely managing to see Moru, who went against him again, but the boy dodged it to go directly to the surface, managing to do so, but in front of him, Moru appeared. Izuku. This is harder than I thought, I have to find a weakness in his body. Moru tried to attack with his tail, making Izuku have to dodge it, but when he did so the tip of his tail made a rose on Izuku's chest, which with the water rose into the air looking at him to go against him trying to hit him. The blow achieved it, but no matter how many blows he gave to parts of his body, it did not achieve anything until, due to carelessness, Moru managed to catch it with his mouth, eating it, but inside his mouth, Izuku did everything possible to not be eaten, so he used his quirk to turn his body into water coming out of Moru's mouth. Moru. The control you have with water is impressive. Izuku. Thanks, I have better things up my sleeve. Moru. I want to see that. Izuku. And apparently it will have to be like that. Izuku extended his arms to his sides, causing a kind of spiked wall of water to be generated for Izuku to high-five his hands as the spiked water walls began to close. Izuku. Great water fang. Moru. Do you really think this will do anything to me? The enormous attack hit the monster, making an explosion of water, so that when the water left there was nothing except tranquility. Izuku. It seems like he did something to you. The boy had a small laugh, but he noticed that a huge shadow was generated below him for Moru to come out with Izuku in his mouth, but before he closed his huge jaw on the tip of it, Izuku held his mouth preventing him from closing it. Izuku. Don't think I'll finish inside your mouth twice. Moru. Then let's see how you do with this. The boy noticed that Moru was going to do a water attack from inside him, so he changed into his intangible form to be able to pass through it, but when Moru launched the attack, which was boiling water, he ended up hitting Izuku, who was damaged while leaving the room. Moru's mouth with steam coming out of his body as he was more than surprised. Moru. Don't think you touched the floor like that. Moru used his tail to hit Izuku, raising him into the air so that he could launch the same attack, hitting Izuku squarely, sending him into the sky, but when he came down, he ended up falling on the same rock where he arrived in that world. Moru. You're probably wondering how this happened, I can damage anything, intangible or I can't damage it, it doesn't matter. Izuku. I already solved it. Moru. Excuse me. Izuku. I already solved that riddle, those words that are a clue to be able to harm you. Izuku got up to put the rock on his feet, standing with his eyes down. Moru. Then I hope you are ready because soon you will die for me. Izuku began to move very slowly apart from being relaxed as the waves crashed against the rock. Moru. Don't think that because of those movements you will be able to beat me. Moru opened his mouth preparing the attack from before that aims at Izuku, who only continued with those movements so that he could launch the attack against Izuku. Izuku. To damage the water you have to be relaxed like it. When the attack reached Izuku, the green-haired man made a slow movement with his hands, causing the water attack to end up separating that water attack that boiled enough to make any living being end up in bones in a matter of a second. When the attack finished, Izuku continued with those slow and relaxed movements. Moru. That's impossible. It doesn't matter if I can't hurt you with it, then I'll physically do it myself. Moru went against Izuku to open his mouth to eat Izuku, who continued with those movements so that one would end up hitting Moru's lower part, making him look up. Izuku. If I want to damage the water I have to attack like a wave. He said it to hit him with the palm of his hands, causing Moru to be sent flying, leaving him more than surprised to see Izuku, who now began to walk against him in a relaxed manner. Moru. Damned wretch. He hit him with his tail, sending him against the stone, but when he hit he stood up as if nothing had happened, looking at Moru to begin walking towards him, as if that blow was nothing, surprising the monster that was staring at him. Moru. This is impossible. Izuku. And sometimes if you want to stop the water you have to be cold. As he said those words, the environment became colder than normal, while some parts of Moru's body began to freeze like water, ice began to form, so that Izuku jumped in front of Moru, looking at him. Izuku. Current destroys rocks. As he said that, a rain of blows hit Moru, who ended up brutally injured while he fell into the water, and Izuku fell on a stone to sit down, looking at Moru, who was just beginning to get up. Izuku. Then I won. Moru. If you win, you deserve the power of the sea. Izuku. What are your powers? Moru. My powers, as you saw, I have a greater speed in water apart from being able to freeze the body of my enemy by looking in their eyes, and that water attack I used was an attack that allows me to make the person who is intangible. It ended up affecting my attack, but my attack has a weakness. Izuku. If someone achieves what I did with that relaxation, the attack will end up being useless and they could hurt me. Moru. Yes, but there are few people who can achieve such a thing. Izuku. There is a detail that doesn't leave my mind, and that is that since I defeated Methuselah, I noticed changes in me but more than normal. Moru. About that is that you can have more aspects like us, but when you defeat us all you will have a transformation that is a kind of combination between all of us. Izuku. Then I will have more than one transformation. Moru. That's right. That way Izuku left his mind noticing that he saw the sea calmer than normal. Well people, I leave you a small preview of what will happen later. At the base everyone was attentive as they began to be attacked by the enemy until an attack sent them all flying, causing them to find more wounded in the place. Chapter 14. After Izuku gave the armor to Kaminari apart from explaining to them about the other armors, so that he ended up facing Moru from the water sphere. At this moment Izuku was in the gym with Todoroki by his side because the caller saw him. He was putting some bandages on the green-haired boy's right arm, who at the same time had an eye patch on his left eye, although they were also close to the boy's green Kirishima and Bakugo. Bakugo. So the water guardian wasn't as wide as Methuselah was with you. The boys were laughing a little at his hurt friend that he just got a little angry with them just by looking at him. Izuku. Colin, and if you want to fight one of them, do what I will gladly get you passes to fight them. Todoroki. You better shut up, I just finished bandaging you. Izuku. Get back to work, we have to continue with this gym thing, while Jarvis is in charge of training the others. The boys went to their parts of the gym, while Izuku only continued doing his thing until some people he didn't expect to see entered through the door. Izuku. Hello girls. Girls. Hello Izuku. Pendo. We haven't seen each other in a while, but more importantly, what happened to you? Izuku. It's just that I had a bit of a demanding training session, and well, I know what it's going to do. Luckily for the boy, the patch he had on his left eye hid the fact that that part of his eye was blood red instead of green, while his right eye was green as always. Uraraka. What about the patch you have? Izuku. The patch is for a small damage to the eye, but I'll recover sooner or later. Momo. You better not push yourself in your training or anything like that. Izuku. Yes, I promise I won't push myself too hard, but more importantly, why are they here? Uraraka. Ibarra told us that you were here with this gym, so we came separately because we found out that Mirko is coming to this gym and we want to train. Izuku. Okay, I'll gladly leave you the licenses to train here. Momo. I just have the money to pay for the license for all of us apart from the fact that we would like you to personally train us. Izuku. Okay, come in. The girl signed a part to be able to train in the place, so that Izuku opened the door for them, letting them enter. Izuku. Hey Mineta, Kaminari, I want you to go to the reception so I can see if anyone is coming. The two of them only paid attention to go to the reception, while Izuku gave a tour to the girls who were looking around the place. Mina. How much do we have to pay for you to fight against the other trainers? Momo. Don't say that Izuku is too hurt to do that. Izuku. There's no need for a fight, guys, what do you say? Mirio. Give it. The blonde came down to be in front of Izuku, as did Shoji, Ejiro, Kirishima and Bakugo, apart from the fact that they all stopped training to go watch the fight. Ibara. Why did everyone stop? Mirko. They never fought, and the fact that the receptionist is going to fight is going to be something new that we want to see. Izuku took off his shirt, letting all the women see his body, while he put on some boxing gloves. Izuku. Who's first? The first to come forward was Kirishima, who prepared to fight, lunging at Izuku trying to hit him in the face, but the boy dodged him to hit him in the face, moving him away so he could dodge another blow from Kirishima. To give him another, he hit him in the face, pushing him away, making him look at him so that Izuku jumped and hit him, leaving him unconscious. Izuku. Next fighter. They took Kirishima to advance Shoji, looking at him, making everyone think that he lost in this one because he was at a size disadvantage, but when Shoji went against Izuku, the boy just looked at him as if it were in slow motion, so he hit him in the head. Pace. Before he hit him, Shoji was going to fall on his back, but he moved forward to hit him, but to his shame, Izuku shortened the distance between the two to give him one more hit, leaving him unconscious. Izuku. Anyone else? The next one was Ejiro, who got into a combat pose to try to give him a blow that Izuku dodged, who looked at him as if it were nothing to him, surprising everyone because some blows went where his patch was, but the boy dodged it as if it were nothing. Nothing, so that he ended up doing a complete turn, kicking him in the face, leaving him unconscious. Izuku. Ready, Bakugo, do you want to fight? Bakugo. You know that I don't dare to retire. The boy got in to go against Izuku directly through his blind spot, but before he managed to hit him, Izuku beat him to the punch in the face, stopping him in one step from being in front of Bakugo to give him a shower of blows with only arm leaving the unconscious. Izuku. Hey Mirio, it's your turn I think. Mirio. I don't think so, I have to train some and more by leaving the others unconscious. Izuku. Okay. Todoroki. Now I have to medicate 3 animals. That way Izuku left to start training the girls, who at the end of Izuku's training, left the girls more than tired on the floor, although luckily for him, Momo called his limousine to leave the place. Izuku. Well, I have to go, I have to do the 3rd test. Todoroki. Just try to come with your whole body, I don't want to see you without an arm. Izuku. And that's not going to happen. Izuku went to the same island where he entered his mental space, seeing the spheres, thinking about which one to enter, until he opted for the wind sphere, touching it and entering. When Izuku appeared, he ended up floating in some kind of clouds. Izuku. Now the wind guardian is supposed to appear. At one point, a being with enormous wings, apart from having 4 arms revealing a kind of light instead of legs, seemed to move in a kind of tornado that was turned upside down, apart from having black lines on its body, which was black, and a head that had a helmet that was the head of a body. Izuku. And who are you? Monster? I would have to ask that question, I am the guardian of the wind, my name is Mitsus. Izuku. So Mitsus, I am Izuku who came to pass your test. Mitsus. There is only one way to know, and that is to see if you beat me. Izuku. I assure you that you are not going to beat me. The boy stood in a combat pose while Mitsus looked at him, so that Izuku in a moment went against him, making a sphere of air that he launched at Mitsus, who, with a movement of his wings, made it disappear, so that Izuku was behind him. Izuku. Don't get too confident. The boy tried to hit him, but Mitsus dodged it as if it were nothing. Mitsus. You can't touch the wind touches you. He said it while hitting him with one of his arms, sending him flying, but he got back up to see Mitsus, who was calm under the gaze of anyone, so that Izuku went against him to start trying to hit him, but was blocked by 2 arms of Mitsus, who only watched as the boy tried to hurt him, but in a moment Izuku took Mitsus's arms. Mitsus. You can't do much now. Izuku. Surely. He tried to give him a kick that was blocked by Mitsus, who used his 3rd arm, taking Izuku's kick, followed by another kick from Izuku, leaving him unable to move. Mitsus. Now what are you going to do? Izuku. This. The boy gave him a headbutt, making him let go so that he could see it and take advantage of it by hitting Mitsus in the face, who ended up hitting Izuku back, moving him away, although he did some kind of ropes with the wind, tying Mitsus up. But the same thing not allowing him to move so that Izuku could start launching wind attacks against Mitsus, which cancelled it as if it were nothing before those attacks. Mitsus. This is stupid. But the movement of his wings he sent Izuku flying, causing him to get lost in the clouds, so that he began to make some tornadoes, making Izuku spin all over the place, leaving him dizzy, so that Mitsus ended up giving him a blow followed by another and another. But not leaving the green-haired man until Izuku made a wall with the wind, although it did not last long since an attack from Mitsus cancelled it, as if it were nothing before him looking at Izuku, who looked at him to make a huge current of air that was cancelled by an attack by Mitsus that he gave to Izuku earlier, sending him into some clouds that lost the boy. Mitsus. Where are you? Before anything else could happen, Izuku showed up and tried to hit him, which Mitsus ended up blocking to see Izuku. Mitsus. Let's see how long you can put up with this. With a movement of his hand he made thousands of cuts with the wind at Izuku, who ended up moving away. Izuku. It's too strong. The boy went down trying to reach the ground, but to his surprise, it was as if he had found a separate piece of land that the clouds kept appearing as he went down. Izuku. Isn't there an ending? It's as if there were no land or water around here. Mitsus. Obviously there is nothing like that. Izuku looked at he was next to him going down with him. Mitsus. If the only thing that can hurt me is something solid like the floor, then I won't let it be solid in this world and end up hurting me, you know, to avoid getting hurt. With a movement of his hand, Mitsus sent Izuku flying apart from making some cuts, so that he ended up inside a huge cloud, causing him to lose it again. Izuku. Something solid is the only thing that hurts it, but if everything is air then it is impossible to hurt it in return. The boy remembered that when he arrived at that place the boy was floating and did not fall as normal, except that he noticed that he was using his wind quirk since he arrived. Izuku. I already have it, but I have to get his attention. The boy began to go upwards out of the cloud while he launched an attack at Mitsus, drawing his attention. Mitsus. So you're there. Mitsus began to follow Izuku, who at this began to go up at full speed while Mitsus followed him from behind until at one point he stopped. Mitsus. Then you'll stop escaping. Izuku. Who said I'm going to escape? The boy began to fall while he did the same thing as before, entangling Mitsus with the wind, but with more force than before. Mitsus. Here we go again. When Izuku got to where Mitsus was, he hit him to get them to start going down, but the boy hit him more without stopping, all the while going down. Mitsus. It's impossible, you can't hurt me so much in return. Mitsus realized that the boy stopped using his wind quirk, so he started hitting him. Mitsus. I have to get out of this. Izuku. I won't let you go. The boy hit him at a faster speed, as well as with greater force than before, giving more shape to Mitsus, who was getting lower and lower. Izuku. Everything ends here. The boy gave one more blow, but this one was loaded with all his strength, so that there was an explosion in the place. When he left, Mitsus was floating with Izuku in front of him, although the green-haired man had a face that was that he did not understand what was happening now. Mitsus. It's obvious that you don't understand, but let me explain it to you. You defeated me, you discovered my weakness, and you used your body to defeat me. You discovered that you can win without using your quirk. Izuku. That's very good. Mitsus. Yes, but boy, I have to tell you something very important. Izuku. What's coming next? Mitsus. The previous one you had more didn't tell you something, and it was that there is a very dangerous person who can seriously harm you. Izuku. Who is that person? Mitsus. I'm not very well informed, but I understand that an old man named Silverfang trained someone who is very dangerous nowadays. You better be careful with whatever you do in your life, like some movement or something like that. Izuku. Okay, I'm leaving. The boy woke up to get up while he thought about that person who could possibly surpass him, leaving him more pensive than normal. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.